than the last time. Hey guys, JvC, JMez here. It's Sunday morning. It's still Sunday morning. It's what time is it? It's 11, quarter after 11. And I'm just gonna hold on a second. I want to, because if there's anybody in the chat, you know, I gotta see. Yeah, so it's Sunday morning. I just finished watching hockey, and then of course I had to watch the highlights to the game that I just watched because that's what you do to relive it. Why is it not in the right place here? So yeah, I'm gonna just whatever crap on here for a bit, maybe about an hour or so. I got some stuff I got to do later today, this afternoon. I'm still sort of in my PJs and whatnot here. It's been a slow morning. Oh, PJs and what? Okay, I put it on mute. So yeah, I guess what it's probably like, 10 o'clock on the east coast of the U.S. It's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning in Europe. So I really don't expect a lot of people to pile in here. In the western part of North America, it's like, you know, uh, especially in Canada, I guess you'd say like, the sun's going down a lot later or whatever. Anyway, whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna paint. I was hoping to do this last week, but I was just too tired, to be honest with you. And I was going to do it on Thursday morning because we went to Yokohama, but I don't know what the hell happened that day. I got up late or something. But yeah, anyway, so what I'm going to do today, guys, what I'm up to, I'm just going to start painting some flesh on these guys. These are all my figures. I do have some, gross. I have some commission shit that I'm doing too. But I'm just sick of that shit, dude. To be honest with you, I can't paint another World War One guy, dude, or the other Bolt Action Army that I'm painting. I've already painted it once before, and it was a total mojo killer. This time it's a bit different. I'm almost done. I just got to finish the vehicles, but I was gonna go give it to the guy this month, but I forgot that Easter moves around, and it happens to be Easter Sunday. And I was just, and I'm already, I got stuff I got to do next weekend, and then the next weekend after Easter I got stuff going on. So anyway, so what I'm working on here, I've got so these are Victrix Persians. I got two of these guys. I just do these guys, two at a time, three at a time, while I'm doing other stuff to sort of, you can't sit down and do like 50 of these guys, you'd go crazy. I got two Hoplites, and I've got four Belgian warlord Belgian guys for World War II. So I'm just gonna do the flesh and have a chit chat with anybody who might be out there. If you got any questions about whatever, you can look at the disgustingness of my desk here. But so that's what's been going on. I'll make sure that I'm in kind of in frame here. Figure this out. There we go. Maybe move it like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, I'm trying to make sure that I'm in the center here. So yeah, man, what's going on? The weather was good, and then it got crappy. Shit, this is the wrong color. What am I doing? Technical difficulties. I just wanted to go live, and I've almost messed it up. So yeah, the weather was nice. It was really nice. It got warm, so then we were like, oh, okay. So we changed all the, we got rid of all the really warm blankets and stuff that we had and everything. We changed them out with the sort of springtime stuff, and then it got cold again, of course, right? So that kind of sucked, and then we're changing it back and forth. It's getting better though, I'd say, weather-wise. Nothing really major in that department. We had Hanami, the cherry blossom viewing was going on. And that was okay, but it always rains, and like you never actually get to appreciate it. Okay, can you see my hands in the frame? Yes, you can. Okay, yeah, I'm doing this with an iPad, and I'm kind of messing it up a little bit here and there. So anywho, yeah, and that's it. And then my job this past week has been kind of like hot and cold. Like there's been busy bits and pieces, and then a lot of hurry up and wait kind of stuff, and that kind of stuff. And now it's going to kick off for real basically on Tuesday, to Monday. So tomorrow we've got am I in frame? Okay, yeah. Like an opening ceremony thing where all the new wannabe nurses and medical people. And high school kids are coming in, and it's very Japanese. It's a big ceremony. There's a lot of stand up, sit down, bow, stand up, bow, sit down. A lot of that stuff. I get to hear the same speech I've heard like I don't know 14 times from the owner, my owner, the owner of the hospital and the university, and all that stuff. It's pretty boring. It's pretty boilerplate Japanese stuff. But you gotta go. You gotta wear a suit. It's like one of the 3 times a year I'll actually get into my funeral suit and wear a tie and all that stuff. So, but then the real stuff starts on what is it? Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday is gonna be they got guidance. They just whatever. They're just telling these kids like don't smoke and don't park your car in the parking lot. That kind of the usual stuff. So, oh hey Mark, what's up, buddy? Ah, but what is there? Um, yeah, it's just stuff's going on. It's weird. It's a really weird month. There's a lot of administrative stuff that happens in April because everything rolls over in the fiscal year on the first. Leases go up and change, and people are all trying to move and stuff. In fact, my friend moved back, so I had actually the other night we were over there. And I had to help him. We had to move his washing machine and get it all hooked up and stuff. So, yeah, it's just an administrative nightmare month. And then at the end of the month, they give us this golden week, which is really okay. We get a lot of time off, but because everybody has time off, they just expect you to like be able to like just do stuff, and you just really want to hang out and relax. And Yeah, but it's gonna be it'll be okay. I think I'm gonna have about 8 or 9 days off over 2 weeks, so that really is kind of cool. I don't have any plans. I doubt I'll be doing anything except hanging around like my house or whatever. But yeah. March 31st, April 1st. April 1st is the day when all the new people start their jobs. Like that was the hospital. That was last week on Tuesday, and then this week on Monday, they're bringing them in for school. And I think the college, the vocational college, which I haven't had to go and teach at for quite a while. I think their ceremony was on Friday, but yeah, it is what it is. It'll be fun though, but maybe. But yeah, it's just a lot of mid stuff. But who cares about that? It's a job, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to get out of it. I'm getting out of going to it, and just trying to, you know, retire early. That's the goal. I think that's everybody's goal, isn't it? Retire early. But yeah, painting's going okay. I've painted. How many guys did I paint last month? I'll just take a quick peek at the thing here. I painted 41 guys last month. February I did 32. January I did 57, and December I did 66. So, and in November I did 59. So that's right now I'm up to how many guys have I done? I've done what is it, 6? I'll finish these guys. That'll give me 14, and then I got a bunch of vehicles I got to paint. So, just trying to make some extra bucks here and there. So, but yeah, that's it. That's all, man. Yeah, but painting these guys, yeah, the hoplites and the Polish guys, the Persian guys. It's kind of a little project I'm doing for myself. I am kind of World War II'd out, but the Belgians I just started them. I bought them in September, I think, when I went away. They're older figures, and I think the molds could have used a bit of a cleaning. They were probably really good figures when they first came out. Like if you got the first, 30 or 40 batches out of the molds, but you can see they're older figures, which is it's not bad, but you can see that they really tried to put a whole bunch of detail into them, like buttons and all that stuff, which is okay, fair enough, that's cool, but If they don't clean the molds, it just becomes a nightmare. And then if you compare it to stuff with say like Foundry, which are chunky, and they they'll do the pockets, they'll do all the really necessary stuff, but they try to leave out all the sort of unnecessary details and stuff like that. So um, yeah, it's been kind of come see come saw with those the Belgian guys. Good luck on trying to find pictures of their equipment online. Everything they have is just like Belgian. It's all World War I stuff. Finding the World War II sort of equipment and webbing or whatever, it's a bit tricky. Granted, they were only really in the war for 3 weeks or something, if that. I don't even think they lasted that long. So, um, but yeah, it's mostly just French stuff, just a little bit of a different color. So, but yeah, so I got this project, the Hoplite Persian project, which I'm really enjoying. I've been painting a lot of shields freehand. That's what I did want to do. I wanted to do a freehand live stream, but I just never got around to it. But that's all. What else is going on? A friend of mine from Canada is coming. He's going to be here. He's gonna. Well, I think he's gonna be in Japan by I think it's Wednesday or something like that. But he's coming in and then he's going immediately down to the south of the country to go to Kyushu. He wants to go see the volcano in Kagoshima. And then he's going to that expo they're having in Osaka, which I didn't really know about, but I kind of found out a little bit about it. It's just one of these professional Japanese tax things where they up our tax to put on some kind of huge event or whatever that nobody really wants to go to, and then the politicians kind of just sort of their brother-in-law's cement company scores all these amazingly huge lucrative contracts kind of thing. So it is the same with the Olympics, man. They fleeced us with the Olympics. It was unreal. They built this stadium. It was like $50 billion or something, and I don't even know where it is. It's somewhere in Tokyo. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know anybody who's been to it yet. And the Olympics, because of COVID, I mean, it was just such a shit show. You couldn't go anywhere. Nothing was on TV. It was dumb. So a lot of people got kind of turned off from it, I guess. Soccer, football, that's kind of the big international sport now. What's his face? That baseball player. God. Oh, God. I was going to say Mizutani. Otani. He was here. They were playing the Cubs. I think they played 2 or 3 games. And, baseball is okay. Like if you're in a hotel room and, you're having a drink or something, drinking a coffee or whatever, it's okay. But no, I don't watch any kind of motorsports. There was a guy I used to work with from New Zealand. This guy named Peter, and he was right into motorsports. And he had this story. Now, whether it's true or not, I don't know. He had this story that he told everybody. Oh, there's a hair on here. That his father was the stunt double for Steve McQueen in The Great Escape, where he jumps the motorbike over the fence. Now, if you've been overseas, and this was pre-internet, so it's not like anybody could, fact check this guy instantly or whatever. And I've, hadn't really thought about it until now, until I just read that, because he was totally into motorsport. Because we worked with this other old hippie lady named Ginger, and she was, she was an old hippie lady, real like a literal old hippie lady from that era. And she was talking about, how beautiful some flowers were or whatever. And we're in the teacher's room, and he's got the newspaper out. He's like, "Oh, there's no fucking motorsport in this paper, man." So it was, a bit of a contrast, juxtaposition of these two people I worked with. But no, I don't follow motorsport. I only really follow ice hockey, and I don't really, other sports. I mean, baseball's okay, I'll watch it, but American football, I don't know. I mean, I used to really like it until when I was in high school. I loved it. And then the Bills just basically shat the bed for 4 years straight. And we used to get our American channels from Buffalo. So I was like, I was a big Bills fan, in junior high school and high school. And man, when they lost 4 times in a row, I was like, F this, dude. I cannot take this. And I don't think I ever watched it again. I mean, I kind of followed what the Pats played. The Patriots were doing pretty good. I did kind of, well, look, they've won again, or maybe I'll watch this, this AFC Championship game or something like that. I did watch an AFC Championship game on the base in Yokosuka with my friend, and it was crazy because it had like real Diet Coke, which you can't buy in Japan. So we were watching it, and I was like, we're watching the game, and everybody's there, and they're all whatever, everybody's talking football, and then the commercials come on, and whatever, it's all in English, and so it was whatever. We're just watching football, and then I kind of noticed, like, these commercials are really weird. They're all about like suicide, and guys brushing their teeth and like zoning out, in the mirror, and it was just weird. It was just such a strange little experience. So, but actually, I am going to go see those guys next Friday. I have a plan to go to Yokosuka and kick up my heels with those guys. I haven't seen them since, I'm going to say 2-3 years ago, maybe 3 years ago would probably be more accurate. And yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. We're probably just going to, we're old now. We're just probably going to hang out. I don't know, we'll probably order food or something. We won't go out. I mean, forget that. It's going to be a Friday night. If the aircraft carrier is in, it's going to be a bunch of loud, loud 19-year-old kids out on the haunch. Yeah, so it's like, we'll go to somebody's house and have a couple beers or whatever, maybe order some food, and then just reminisce about when we were 19 years old and raising hell and all that stuff. you know, Going over the same ground, telling stories and stuff like that. I guess that's what you do when you get older. You tell stories about when you were younger, and when things were a lot more fun. So okay, that's those two guys. Oh yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he also said that his father, well, okay, so his father was the stunt double for Steve McQueen, and I guess obviously he was in the motorcycle chase. He was one of the Germans that was riding the motorbike, and this is why this guy was into motorsport. And he was kind of weird. He was into bodybuilding at the time too, and his whole thing was that he wanted to be a champion. He was a motocross champion in New Zealand, I guess, but and in Japan when he was younger. He was this, so he probably in the 80s he was doing this. So, but he'd been a motocross champion in New Zealand and Japan, and he had been a bodybuilding champion of some sort in New Zealand. He was trying to do the same thing in Japan, and so he wanted to be the champion of two different sports in two different countries. That was his thing, and yeah, so his dad got him into motorsport. So. No, unless his dad was Bud Atkins, it wasn't him because what was his last name? Peter, oh, something, but it wasn't that. Peter Kiwi, Big Pete, Rock and Roll Pete. Oh, if I don't remember his last name at all. I want to say Griffin, but I know that's the Family Guy, character is Peter Griffin, so I know it's not that. But it's gonna drive me crazy, and I'm just gonna blurt it out. At some inopportune time today, I'm just gonna we'll go out with, it's gonna just come flying out of my mouth. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me. How about you, Mark? What's going on? You seem to be the lone person in the chat. What are you up to these days? You having a good weekend out there? You're in Oregon, so I imagine the weather's probably kind of cloudy and rainy. Kind of probably a lot like it is here today. It's just kind of overcast. It's threatening to rain, and then it rains for a couple minutes, and then it stops. So, yeah. Oh, shit. Got that on there. So, yeah. So these guys, I put them together last night, and then I primed them brown. Everybody got mahogany brown primer this morning before the hockey game came on. And the computer was slow, so it was that whole, get through my internet history, torch that, turn the computer off, reload, get the modem, reset the modem, all that stuff to sort of maximize. It was buffering way too much when I turned it on this morning. So, but it was good. Yeah, I watched the I watched the Leafs versus the Blue Jackets, and the Leafs won Spoilers: Leafs won 5-0. They completely crushed them. And then at the end, they showed the last 3 or 4 minutes of Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens, and I don't know. It's all playoff race stuff now. So you find yourself cheering for teams you usually hate, which is strange. But not today. I still hated Montreal, but like Buffalo, the Sabres. They play. Who were they play? They play Tampa Bay. So, Aurora Kits. Yeah, they got lots of airplane stuff on there. You put a lot of videos up. I can barely motivate myself sometimes to even like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna do it today, and then I get home and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do that, and I can't seem to get my act together. When I get home from work, I'm too tired, or I got to go do something, or something's happened, and I got to go deal with it. Not recently. We did have a dead animal in the backyard. What was it, about 2 weeks ago? They have these animals that are called kion. They're like midget-sized deer, and there was a dead one back there. It was a baby one, so it was probably only the size of maybe a house cat. But yeah, I came home and there was like 10 or 12 crows in the backyard, and I went out there and I said, "What's going on?" And I saw it was an animal, so got the little gum boots on, the shovel, went over there, dug a hole, chucked it in it. A lot of roots though, so digging that hole took quite a while. But yeah, he's buried out there someplace, along with a couple of rabbits that the cat killed. Yeah, did I bury that squirrel? No, I think of the squirrel I just kind of flung into the jungle a long time ago. But yeah, if it's the size of a cat, I'll bury it. But yeah, anything smaller than that, it just kind of off off it goes, off it goes. Yeah. What else? Okay, so you got lots of time. Yeah, the tariff stuff. Yeah, I don't know. The thing I mean, Japan is always Japan. Ever since I moved here, it's just always been such an economic basket case. Things are going great for me, but then they're always saying, "Oh, the economy's terrible," and I'm like, "I'm doing okay." And then when everything's supposedly great, my life sucks. Actually, there was this guy. What was it? Oh, God, it would have been 20 years ago. There was this guy named Horemon, and they all thought he was some kind of genius or whatever. I don't know. And he was on TV all the time, hanging out with celebrities and being cool. And he had some fake internet business. He literally had like a fake business, and he shocked the economy. And I was moving back to Canada at the time, and it was like literally 5 days before I had to change my money over, and it was I ended up losing like thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm still pissed off at this guy, and every so often he pops up in my wife's news feed or whatever, and I have to mention like, oh, that's that guy, he owes me 7 grand. So yeah, I don't know what the Japanese are gonna do. They've got so many. I mean, they've got so many problems here with just societal problems. Everybody's old in the sense of like they call it the super aging society. So I forget what percentage of the population, like something like a third is over 65, and of that third, like half of them are over 75. And and living in the countryside, most people are elderly, and you'll see guys like you go to the hospital and there'll be people who are like 90, 100. It's pretty normal. But yeah, the super aging society is a big problem. They're not having enough kids. What else is going on? The prices now are starting to get out of control, like for gas and stuff. Um, like vegetables, because everything is. I mean, the vegetables are domestically grown. It's like, huh? Like when I say like, I mean like grown in the town, and you're like, I don't know how they can justify, you know, jacking up the price of carrots by like 70% overnight. And you're like, how? Were they importing dirt from the moon? So everything is going up except my stock prices. They're all going down. And my salary seems to, remain stagnant for I don't know how long now. I just kind of stopped caring about it. It's never gonna go up. The school always finds these incredible ways to just buy something we don't need. And some salesman comes in there and says, oh, we need you guys need these temperature controlled things for your elevator, whatever. Like, I don't know, I don't even know what I'm talking about here, but just junk stuff that is basically in 4 years is going to be stuck in the corner of a storeroom someplace, and they always buy it. And it's just kind of a big scam, you know. We did have our server, like the computer server. We had a whole year where the computers didn't work, and that's because they got their insurance money from NTT or whatever it was after the servers got was it ransomware, and they sat on that money to collect their 6.5%. They just rolled it into the bank or whatever, and they just sat on it, And then the president, they made a quick 60 grand, and then we got our new computer servers. But that whole year, it was just print something, you write something up, put it on a USB drive, walk all the way down the hall, go get on that one photocopier, plug the USB in, go through all that stuff, print it out, get back to your desk, look at you, oh fuck, I got the date wrong, fix it. Oh, it was a nightmare, and it wasn't just me; it was like everybody. So, but yeah, that's what's going on here. Everything else is okay though. It's safe, so that's cool. Whatever. Yeah, the demographics. Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, the stock market did get up over. The Nikkei got over 40,000 there. I'd say about a year and a half ago, but that was it, and then it went up, and then it's just kind of come back down. I have been in Japan. I've been involved in Japan for over 27 years, but in that time frame, I was gone. My wife and I, we went back to Canada, or I went back. Whatever. We went back. We went back to Canada for about, I'm going to say 2.5, almost 3 years, 2.5 years, I guess. Yeah. And that guy, he's got a mustache. And then also when I went to school in the UK, you won't see that. I don't have to paint that. Yeah. And then when I went to school in the UK, I left because of the fiscal New Year stuff. I quit my job in April, but school in the UK didn't start until October, so I was gone for a year and a half there. And so yeah, so 4 years, so 23 years total, I guess. I've been here, and it's been okay, I can't really complain. I mean, if I compare my life to my friends back home in Canada, uh, I've got absolutely nothing to complain about. I mean, they hardly any of them have a pot to piss in a lot of ways. So, like, you can't see anything. I should move this chair over. There we go. That's probably better. Um, so yeah, I mean, we got our house and we got our car and all that other stuff. So things are okay. But yeah, in Canada, I know. Well, my friend Paul, when he comes out, he'll give me an earful of what's going on. He said it's not that good. And it has. I mean, the last couple times I've gone back to Canada is totally you realize that you're nostalgic for a place that doesn't exist anymore at all. Like, period. Like, the couple times, the one, especially when my mom was sick, it was like Back to the Future 2, where you go back and everything is just wrong. It was just everything was just weird and not the same, and everybody was just different. It's really hard to explain. I mean, Toronto. I went back to Toronto in, what was it, 2017, I think. So we're from Alberta, but I have a lot of friends that had to go to school and everything in Ontario. So yeah, Toronto was just like, what the happened? Like, everybody was walking around. They had one of three things in their hand. They either had a cigarette, a phone, or a coffee, and it was a combination. And the homeless people, like, were really, really aggressive, and they had never been like that. Like, I mean, there were homeless people in Toronto, of course, but I mean, they were just like overly aggressive, and they all seemed to be crazy, talking to themselves. And this was I guess everybody was smartphones were really just starting to become kind of standard issue at that time. So, but everybody was walking around, and you don't know, they were walking around with like a headphone or earphone jack into their smartphone, and you're like, and you can hear them talking. You're like, this guy's obviously not talking to anyone except himself, like I'm doing right now, in a way. you know, I know you're out there checking it out, but yeah, it was just really bizarre. Yeah. All right, Saskatchewan. Okay. Oh yeah. Or they separate their laundry into greens and whites out in Saskatchewan. Yeah, I took my wife to Saskatchewan. She was just like, "There's nothing here." I'm like, not much, that's for sure. There's a town. And it's about another 35 miles, and you get there. Just little small farm towns and stuff. But yeah, southern Alberta. I think probably I don't know where you're from. Where are you from in Montana, Mark? Because we went last time we were out there when we were fixing to buy a house. When I was still working out there, we went down to Waterton and is it Waterton? Yeah, on the Alberta side. We went to Medicine Hat and we looked at Lethbridge too. Where's that? That big Mormon church is out there. Oh, what's the place? Is it Cardston? It's out by Lethbridge. I forget the name of it, but yeah, we went down there. I was trying to get a job in the oil patch. I got all my tickets and stuff, but they just weren't hiring. It was weird. It was just one of those strange things. They didn't want to hire anybody. They're like, oh well, you got I don't know. Either I had too much education or I was too old. I mean, it was in really good shape too at the time, so I was kind of disappointed because I just wanted to get a job, do it, and they pay well, and just do it for 5 or 6 years, and then save that money and figure out what I was going to do, you know, in my mid 30s, and and you know, and then figure what I was going to do. But I was going to work it for about 5 or 6 years while I could still physically do it, but it just never came to fruition. So we moved back here. So you know, Kalispell, and lived in Helena for 17 years before moving to Oregon. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I've seen Montana very close up, like probably about 10, 15 times. I think I've only been there like twice, and it was like right around the border there. We used to get you probably got them too. We used to get our American channels from Spokane, Washington. Creme 2 TV, and oh gosh, what was that other channel on PBS? Whatever, all the sort of the big American channels when I was a kid. But it was always, everything was an hour because of the time difference. Everything was like an hour later. So it was really, if you wanted to watch all the new shows, you had to stay up like really late, because at that time the Canadian channels we didn't really have any, it wasn't like it is now. So it was basically, a show that would, like Wheel of Fortune and stuff. That stuff came on at like 8 o'clock instead of 7, or Jeopardy or whatever. It came on at, kind of late. So if you wanted to watch Magnum PI, that shit was on at like 10:30 at night, and you usually couldn't stay up that late when you were a kid. But crap, I messed up this guy's mouth. Oh well, he looks ridiculous. So yeah. But let's see. Yeah, water. Yeah, we went. When did we go? Oh, geez, we went with my parents. This was years ago now. Fuck, it must have been like 2005, six. I think was the last time we were all down there, and it was all the deer are super friendly. They'll come right up to you. That kind of freaked my wife out at the time. And then we went to was it Lethbridge? There's like a big Japanese garden, so my parents wanted to take her there, you know, and it was okay. When we were looking for a house and stuff, we were down in Medicine Hat, and it was fun. I mean, we saw antelope when we went to the Costco. That was kind of cool. Some buffalo they had out there, and some really nice looking houses. We went to the hockey game. We saw the Medicine Hat Tigers play. Who was it? It was a playoff game. Was it Kelowna? Kamloops? One of the K places from BC. And it was fun. My wife was right into it, you know. Taking her to hockey games in Canada always freaked her out just because how crazy everybody is. Even little kids are like, grandmothers are yelling at the refs, and, you know. making noise and stuff. So yeah. So are you planning on going anywhere this summer or this spring, Mark? You gonna go hiking, or are you gonna go take a big drive someplace in the States, or a road trip, I guess? Um, I haven't. I've got a work thing I gotta go to. Um, yeah, that's kind of. I think there's a W in Kelowna somewhere. um, yeah, I got a work trip in February. I got to go to where is it? Amatsu, which is kind of near Nagoya. It's kind of not halfway, not halfway to Osaka from Tokyo, but it's kind of 40% of the way, I guess you could say. Um, where so I got to go to that. I still haven't submitted my paperwork for that, but that's not a big deal because it's in like June. And then I got to go to where else? I got to go to this place called Scuba in the somewhat north the other way because they're having a conference that I was volunteered for that I got to go help out. I don't know if that's we're just getting it ready, but it's an end of life palliative care conference, and that shit depresses the f out of me. I hate it, and they always make me do it, and it just makes you want to drink. Oh God, I just I just find it so depressing, and I've had to, not with my mom, but with my wife's mom. She lived in like a kind of a palliative care place thing or home for the elderly for quite a while. Even though she wasn't that old, she just had this weird disease. So, and I always hated going there. I mean, she was a great lady and all that stuff, but man, that place just it was like, ugh, I hated it. Really, really did not enjoy it. Um, it just I don't know the whole just the thought of being in your mid 80s or something. For me, this is very selfish, but being in my mid 80s stuck in a Japanese care home is just it is a fate worse than death. I mean, it's just everything I don't like about living in Japan, but I can't do anything about it. I'm like stuck there, and people are yelling at you and trying to make you clap, and just I don't know. It just depresses me. But anyway, my wife's all into it. That's what she's kind of doing her cancer research and stuff about. So, but I don't know if we got to go to that conference. I'm not presenting or I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just coat check kind of. I'm going along for the ride. I'm the guy who's gonna go pick up coffees, that kind of stuff. But I just got to help out. So, but that's those are the big events this year. Yeah. Oh, you're going back to okay. You're going back to Montana in the summer. East Coast in the fall. Well, that sounds nice. The East Coast in the fall. I mean, if it's kind of in the north part, like New England or whatever, you might get, or upstate New York, you'll get the changing leaves and all that stuff. So that'll be okay. And yeah, I don't know. I have no plans on going back to Canada or North America for quite a while. Because I just I can't afford it. The airplane tickets are out of control. The prices there are out of control. The exchange rate's not exactly the best right now. We'll see what happens because whatever. I mean, it's not as bad as it was a couple of years ago. Oh God, a couple of years ago it was insane how bad it was. But it was good. I mean, if you had American money or whatever, or Canadian money, it was okay. But if you didn't, you were kind of like hoops. But my buddy, I mean, he bought this awesome, huge, awesome house, and it wasn't even $200,000 US, and it is literally $1 million home. So, or it would be if it was back there. But yeah, we got spring here. We'll get the rainy season coming up in the end of June, and then nuclear summer as every year. Uh, yeah. Oh hey, Josh in the house. What's up, dude? Yeah, I decided to go live, Josh, to catch you up. I was watching hockey, and then hockey ended, and then I had to watch the highlights, of course, of the game I just watched because you do those kind of things when you're a nerd. for a team, I'm sure you're aware. And then yeah, I decided, well, I got to put some flesh on these guys. I've got about an hour or so before I gotta get out and do stuff. So get back onto my daily sort of schedule. And I'm just putting the flesh on. I've got 4 Belgians from Warlord. These guys here. I got 2 hoplites and 2 Persians. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. How about you? What's going on? What's going on out in Mito? Or is it Mito? You're out that way, right? Ibaraki? Is it Ibaraki? Or yeah, isn't that, which one is it? Wait a minute. Chiba? Is it Ibaraki? No, Saitama is the really that horrible one that's in inland that has no, it's landlocked. Is it Ibaraki, dude? Okay, well, when you come back, yeah, okay, Mito, yeah, okay, it was Ibaraki, okay. That's where Scuba is, right? Because I got, yeah, that, like Kamisu City and all that stuff is up that way. Yeah, I've been to Mito like on the train, like through the station. Like I don't think I got off, but I gotta go to Scuba in October for this conference, which I'm not, which I was just complaining about to Mark here. But yeah, how are things up that way, dude? You guys getting rain? We're getting it sort of on and off out here. Oh God, 1.5. Yeah. It's 1.5 hours by car. It's probably only like 35 kilometers. That's like, it took me. I went to the. Oh yeah, I got to talk about that. I went to that gaming thing last Sunday in Tokyo. I left at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I did not get home until 8 o'clock at night. It took me 4 hours to basically go, 128 kilometers or whatever it is. There's the lunch bell. I don't know if you guys can hear it. But yeah, it took a long time to get home. So, but the gaming thing went okay. It's like living in Mordor. Yeah. Tell me about it. Well, this is like the Shire. Like nothing happens here. It's just like, we have vegetable stands. You can buy vegetables for like 100 yen. The ones that the farmers can't sell to the supermarket. So that's good. That's actually cheap. But yeah, the gaming thing. We got, how many people did we get? We got about 15. Between 15 and 20 people. I wasn't there counting. So, but we did our warband thing. I won because I jumped on the objective like the very last turn. So I was just like, oh, okay. A couple of my guys died. I still have to roll for what happens to them or whatever. But it was fun. We didn't really know the rules or anything. And, it was all, well, what do we do now? Is it this or is it that? How does, we had to roll for stuff. And, we just played it by ear. But there was a bolt action game. I don't know if you know Big Chris, but Big Chris was there. And he played this Japanese guy who had one of those really bad Japanese handshakes. It's like a dead fish handshake. And his English was okay. I can't remember if his name was Sakamoto or Sasamoto. He was pretty quiet, but they played bolt action. I kind of, the new rules, and I kind of looked over a couple times to see how it was going. And I don't know. Chris seemed kind of frustrated because the only rule book we had was like the really small one, like font size 0.2 or whatever. It's it's like trying to read like a Bible through a glass of water. You're like, I can't read it. But yeah, they played that. Then there was a 10mm Napoleonics game that was going on, and then there was a sea battle game. I forget the name of it, but it looked kind of cool. Not that I'd play it, but I would never get into like buying ships and shit like that. Like that's just like a, if it's all set up, I'll give it a go. But like get into it, yeah, I don't think so. But the Napoleonic game looked kind of cool. And then, oh, this guy looks like ass. Oh well, that's what the wash is for, and we'll kind of just cover those mistakes. So, yeah, it was good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there you go. You made it. Yeah, you don't want to shake hands with these guys. Yeah, COVID was a great COVID. When they told us we got to stay home, I like peed my pants. I was so excited. I was like, yes. Because because I painted so much stuff, and I just sat in my little room and I listened to music and drank pots and pots of coffee. And every so hit the camera there every so often. I'd have to check in or send an email to somebody or what. But it was awesome, and I was like, this is great. And then they opened the school in like end of June or whatever it was, and it was a total shit show. We had what would be basically in a regular sized classroom. They moved us to the auditorium, and everybody was like 9 feet away from everybody else. You couldn't do anything. It was we were just doing it to say we were there and to check that box off. That, oh, we kind of did it. We kind of sort of did it. And then they're like, okay, we want you to do it on Zoom. And oh my god, oh my god, wow, oh my god, you didn't get to stay home. That's horrible. Yeah, well, they changed it, and then we had to do online stuff, and it was all Zoom. Is it Zoom? Whatever it is, yeah. And I had to put everybody in like, okay, guys, blah 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 blah, do this, repeat on your own, and all this other stuff, and a lot of the students they wouldn't turn their mics off, so you can hear them watching TV or playing video games, dogs barking, their mom's talking to them or grandma. The tacky bean guy shows up, and then you would put them into breakout rooms, and you're like, okay, ask your partner this, and then I would drop in and out of the breakout rooms, and nobody did anything. It was a big baloney show, for lack of a better word. But yeah, then that went on for, wow, what, 3-4 years they did that. I mean, what was it, 2023 April? That was about, yeah, 2 years ago, and they kind of said COVID was over, and kind of. So, but yeah, no, that would suck if I didn't get to stay home for the first month. Ugh, it would have been terrible. Yeah, hybrid teaching. It was a waste of time, But what are you gonna do? You had to do something, so you may as well do that. But also, I mean, working at the hospital, I mean, like wearing mask. Like here, I mean, I know in like Canada and Europe and stuff, like wearing a mask was like a new thing and people were freaking out about it. But here, it's just like, it's not a big deal. I mean, I always wore a mask at work just so I wouldn't have to smile, in meetings. I would just put this mask on and just scowl, or mouth stuff that people couldn't see. So I was kind of used to it. But like I know a lot of people were freaked out by that, but I was so used to it, it didn't bug me at all. But yeah, hybrid teaching was just terrible. And then, yeah, and then we had to do presentations, and all the kids, they just did presentations on whatever video game they were playing when they should have been studying. So I learned all about online gaming from the perspective of 20-year-old Japanese girls. It was weird. Yeah, exactly. 95% were online, and the other 5% were actually doing stuff. Yeah. But the teacher, you learn the tricks. I remember I had to do these interviews for their final exam because they couldn't do the exam, so I had to interview people, and you could see, like, you're talking to a kid, face, they got their camera on, you got your camera on, you're looking at them, and you're asking them questions, and like, you can see they're reading the textbook, or in one case, you could see there was a mirror behind the kid, and I could see the other kid there in the room with them, telling them the answer, holding up notes and stuff to like say this. And you're like, what are you gonna do? I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything, If you can't flunk everybody, But whatever, it's over. I'm not worried about it. But this year, we got a bunch of new kids coming. We didn't have that many students last year. Our attendance for the freshman class last year was down by like 50%. This year we're back up to normal, which is great. Which means that I'll have I won't have as much time to do goof around or whatever, but I'll be busy, which is good, because if you're not busy, there's always when you have like 9 bosses, one of them will always try to find something for you to do for them. And you can only drag lunch out so long, before people start to notice that, hey, he's been gone for 3 hours. What's he been doing? Oh, he's getting his oil changed. Take this cat to the vet. He was at the beach, talking to his friend, see what he's up to. So, All right, I did the flesh. These guys are all whatever. What's the word I'm looking for? Washed out. Yeah. So I'm gonna let that dry for a couple minutes here, and then I'll probably start doing some some base colors on these guys. Let me move this guy over here. So because I'm doing so many hoplites, what I'm going to do is these two guys, I'm just going to basically do them the same, and then because there's so many of them, they'll and I'll spread them out in the units so that it'll look like they're kind of random. But I'm probably just going to paint them exactly the same. I haven't really thought of the color scheme at all. The Belgian guys, these four guys, I have to do the uniform, and I've got the uniform colors. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the highlights of the flesh and everything last, I think, this time, because for these guys, I'm going to do the uniforms, the belts, and the webbing, and like the canteens and the gas masks and stuff on the back here. I have a little stick. I'll use the end of the brush here, like this kind of stuff. And then I'll get a big brown wash, and then I'll do the final, the eyeballs and lips and the highlights on the flesh. The Persians, I don't know, they're kind of a mixed bag as to uniforms, because there's just everything is just so random. So I'll probably do like what I do with Lands Connects. I'll probably just pick 3 colors, maybe 4 colors, or three sort of standard colors, and then introduce another 2 colors into the sort of the details for patterns and checks and triangles and stripes and all that stuff. But they also have, for these guys, I've got the shields. They're over there, so you got to paint. I'm doing the shields freehand. But then you also have these bow cases, which you've got to put designs and stuff on. So I'm just basically copying the ones that they put on for Little Big Man Studios. So, hey, wow. All right, dude. Hey, Mr. Quinn from out east. It must be like 11 o'clock at night there, out in the wilds of Ontario. How you been, mate? It's been a while. Yeah, I don't usually go live. Mike. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I haven't Bolt Action, Mike. Yeah, I haven't played new Bolt Action yet, Mike. I haven't. I saw a game. I've read the rules. It seems kind of okay. I may as well paint these shields while I'm crapping on here. And this too. I saw my buddies played it, and it looked okay. I've read the rules. I saw that all the points and everything were all over the place. That's all totally new. Maybe I'm just being an old man where I just don't want anything to change. And I'm like, I want my Panzerfaust to be 5 points, not 15, kind of thing, because I'm so used to it. But I don't know. It seemed like it seems okay, I guess. I'm not really, I haven't played it yet, so I can't really, give you my honest opinion on it. I noticed that, oh, gross, this paint sucks. I noticed that the points are totally different. And that, I mean, like these are the older Warlord Games minis, those Belgians, but the newer figures look great. I'm not gonna poo-poo the figures. They do look pretty cool, and but it's the prices of them is just kind of out of control. I remember used to be able to get it was like you would get 40 guys, and it was about 30 pounds, so it was about 5,000 yen at the time, and you're like, that's pretty good. And now it's like, okay, now they want 40 pounds, and now it's magically double the price, and you're like, I don't know, and then their vehicles suck. So I'm just dry brushing this crappy brown on. Oh, you can't even see. I'm like totally out of frame. These are the backs of the Persian shield, so I'm just gonna just dry brush this stuff and bring it up, and then I'll probably give it a wash. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's just on the back. So we'll just do that, get that out of the way. So, but yeah, have you played it yet? Let's see. Yeah, it's black here on the shield. I haven't played a new back. Okay. Guys played a War Transform from Osprey Games. No, I haven't. I don't really get to play a lot of games, and then when I do, it's we usually have to play something that everybody knows because we don't get a lot of FaceTime with everybody else. So like I played Saga. That was the last new game I played was Saga. The Warbands game we played the rules, 25 35 years ago when everybody was in like high school, and we had so many problems with the rules. The past time we played, it was like, no wonder there were so many fist fights and people freaking out and smashing shit and stuff. But no, no new games. And I bought, but I didn't get to play it. Where did that brush go? No, not that one. Um, what was it? It was kind of like what we were playing. The Warbands game was Frostgrave. So I watched a couple videos of it. This looks like a cool game. You only need like 20, not even 20 figures. I was like, I'll play this. But nobody was into playing that game. Nobody even cared about it. So, let's see. I've been playing old school AD&D, a couple of online games. Yeah, me too. Like me and Josh as well. Like I mean, Sword and Sake. We're kind of out in not in the main area of where everybody else is. So you're kind of there's all this fluff on here, kind of isolated, but yeah, we played Bolt Action Second Ed was what we played in Tokyo at the pub when am I in frame? I'm way the hell out of here. Hold on, let me just turn this a little bit that way. Oh, there we go. That's better. Yeah, when we were at the pub, that's what we played. And we also played a couple other games like Congo and stuff like that. There was also an Avalon Hill guy that used to come. What was his name? George. He'd come with all his little counters and all that stuff. But yeah, Second Ed was the game we played in Tokyo. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, the War Games Atlantic stuff. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, the figures are okay. I did their Panzer army, and it was okay. But I mean, I kind of I did a bit of kit bashing stuff with my other World War II guys, like the Africa Corps heads and stuff like that. But the one thing with the War Games Atlantic is that I'm not a fan of is that they don't give you instructions. So you're like, okay, well, which arm goes with which arm? Because the sprues that I've dealt with, it's kind of like it's a mystery. It's like, is it this arm? Is it that arm? Maybe I just am very crappy at sort of spatial recognition or something, and I can't figure it out. But yeah, it's just that's the one thing I didn't like about it. It's the same. I have their halflings. Like I was gonna do some of my chaos halfling army that I have, and I did like two or three guys, and it's like okay, and I don't know. You end up cutting off cutting the wrong arm from the sprue, and you're like, oh, this doesn't fit with this other arm, so you put it back in the box, and then you lose it or you can't find it. It was a bit of a mission, so I only did about 4 guys out of 40. So, well, good on your son for that. Pillage narrative, yeah, the pillage game. I saw that's coming out. I saw the rules for that because I was bored at work, and I was like, oh, when are they going to release these World War II guys? Because I'm chomping at the bit to get those guys because they look so awesome in the examples they've had. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, we got this new game. We're bringing out the Picts and Dark Age Irish guys and this all stuff. And it's like, well, it's kind of jumping the queue, isn't it? But the figures do look kind of cool, and they have some new Ancients come out as well. But yeah, that Pillage game looks kind of cool. I mean, I don't know if they're going to try and compete with Saga, which is possible. I mean, Saga was okay. But well, I don't know if you played it. Did you play it when you went to Steve's, Josh? Because when I went, I played and I just got basically I got mashed. I was just manhandled by Brian. He just crushed me. He's got kids throwing dog shit or whatever it was, dung or potatoes or something at you from the dung heap and all that stuff. So yeah, I got mashed really bad. I think I killed like maybe 2 of his guys, and he just wasted all my guys. So, yeah, Reading Glass, interesting story. Me too. I went to the eye doctor. When was it? On Friday, in the morning, and at like my appointment was at 10:30, and I cruised into work at like whatever quarter to nine, and then I hung around, and then I was like, oh, time to go, so I left, and I didn't get back to work till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like I couldn't believe. So I bought these dollar store reading glasses, and they really made a big difference for reading it. Just books and stuff. Because I was doing that thing where you hold something way across from you're doing like this to read, and oh, this is not stuck in there good. Neither is that one. And so I just wanted to know, like, what's my prescription, or what should I get? Should I get like 1.0? Should I get a 1 point? Is it 1.25? And then and then I'll go. Oh crap, this sucks. I'll change this. I'll put it on this one, and then I'll ugh. And then I'll go. I'll go to the eyeglass shop, and I'll go get these glasses. So they do it or whatever. They tell me, okay, you're this. I'm like, okay, and they're like, yeah, just wait here. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. In Japanese hospitals, you just can't like leave, right? Because everything's done at the hospital, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. So I'm waiting. I'm like the last person in this place. And they finally, they call me, and I go in, and I'm talking to the doctor, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna take a look at your eyes. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And then they're like, "Oh, what are you doing? Did you drive here?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Do you got anybody who can drive you home?" I'm like, "No, me." And they're like, "No, no, no. We want, And they always pull this bullshit where they're like, "We have to do a thorough eye exam to make sure." And it's just like, an eye problem about 6 years ago, where my iris got inflamed, and I went blind in my right eye for about, I don't know, 2 months or something, and I had to go there all the time and take medicine, and they shot lasers into it and all that stuff. And then it went away, and the doctor 3 years ago said, look, you're all better. If it happens again, come and see us. And I said, okay. And then this new doctor, it's always new young doctors, they're always trying to get you to do stuff. And it's like, dude, I'm not staying here for 3 hours. Like, F that. I got places I gotta go. Like, I got this stupid meeting I gotta go to. Only because if I don't attend it, I'm just gonna catch shit for not being there. And I'd rather just go and do nothing at the meeting than catch 9 shades of shit from 10 different people because I wasn't there. And this is Japan, and you have to come to meeting and all this other crap. So then, I kind of argued with the doctor, but and I just said, look, I said, well, I'll come. Let's make an appointment. I just had to get out of there. I have no intentions of going. But yeah, reading glasses, I totally need them too. My eyes have gone to hell in a handcart. Yeah, for painting, I'm using. I don't know. I'll throw them. This is what I'm wearing right now. I have a pair of like proper eyeglass versions of this too, but the problem with the eyeglasses, with the light they have on them, there's some kind of bendy part of the glasses that always seems to catch my hair, and I just end up ripping out a little clump of hair. And you don't you don't want to lose any more hair than you have to at our age. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wear this one with the headband on it instead. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's just my eyes. Whenever I got old, that's what happens. I'm 51 now, and now it's like my eyesight's gone. Going to the gym, I used to be able to go to the gym for like 90 minutes. If I can get to the full hour now, I pat myself on the back because it's exhausting now. Whereas before it wasn't. So it's just age, arthritis. Like in December, I had like the world's worst arthritis in my left knee. It felt like I had a baseball behind my kneecap. It was just horrific. So yeah, just getting old. I don't know. I had the thing in Japan. It's called goju kata, which is 50-year-old shoulder, and I couldn't move. It was my left shoulder. It was my left shoulder. Like I could, the range of motion just stopped. Like I couldn't even you couldn't even like drink a coffee almost. It hurt so much. But yeah, it's getting old sucks. The old man told me that too. He's like, it was his advice. He's like, whatever you do, don't get old. And I didn't listen to him, and here I am. I mean, I still got probably about another, I don't know, 10,000 sleeps before I get to meet Jesus. So, you know, I'm not too worried about it. But you know, you got to take care of your health, and you find that you're doing stuff now, all the stuff you thought was punishment as a kid, you like live to do now, like go to bed early, and you know wake up early, and watch your make sure you eat your vegetables and all that stuff. So it's just kind of weird. All that stuff was punishment, and now it's now it's not. It's like, oh, this is so good. uh yeah. Oh, you didn't play Saga with those guys. You getting on it, like, okay, yeah. Dave and Jack. Jack is really good. Apparently, he wasn't there, which was good because he would have just completely steamrolled. Actually, funny story. Um, I think it was Jack. It was either Jack. I wasn't there. It was Jack or Steve. Basically, that French guy Gilles was there, and he curb stomped him. And then, like 2 days later, Gilles left the group chat, which was, I don't know, it was kind of funny. Uh, Gilles is a bit of a character. He was really competitive in bolt action. Him and this other guy Mario, when we had our tournament, they would not talk about unsportsmanlike conduct. The pair of them. But yeah. Um, you're using 1.25s. Yeah, I'm on ones, but then when I went there, they said, you should be using twos. I'm like, yeah, okay. I tried the twos. I'm like, wow, these are great. I feel like Superman with these glasses on, reading a book. My Clark Kent glasses. The biggest thing for me is I just don't want to look like my brother. Because as soon as I put them on, my wife's like, oh, you look like your brother. And I'm like, oh, no. But yeah, the Gen X thing, yeah, I don't know. And that's what's crazy too. I've really actually, I was talking to this old guy. I was talking to Replacement Dad, and Replacement Dad is a retired Army Ranger captain who's in Vietnam, who lives here. He lives down the road in Tateyama, and he's been here since Christ was a cowboy. Jesus, like 65 or 64, he came over here, and he's got some pretty crazy Vietnam stories, and just stories about living in Japan in the bubble and stuff. Anyway, the Gen X thing, we were talking about it, because I'm at that age now where I'm middle aged, and I'm complaining about kids in their 20s and 30s, And he said, yeah, he said, just imagine how the samurai felt, the Meiji Restoration. These guys were walking around with swords and their chomunges and all that stuff, and all of a sudden Japan completely shifts, and it goes from that society to, everybody's wearing bowler hats and shirts and ties and steam engines and stuff like that. And I kind of feel like that's that's where we're heading. Like, it's going to be crazy to think that little kids now that are like, we'll say elementary school age, like grade 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever, when they're senior citizens, when they're like 60 or 70, they're going to be telling people like, oh yeah, my parents, they could actually drive a car, or whatever. Like, what? They drove a car, like what? Like, like riding a horse or whatever. Because that's just the way things are going. All the self-driving, shit. In Tokyo, when I was there last time, you can't even order food now without a cell phone, like a smartphone. You got the guy comes over, he's like, "How many people?" And just me, I sit down, and he gives me the menu, and I'm looking through the menu, and I'm about to tell this guy like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get the sausage rolls, or whatever." And he's like, "Oh no, QR code. You got to use your phone." And I'm like, "What? But can I just tell you, because you got to use your phone. You got to queue, and then you got to get this thing. They want you to download some app to sit in this restaurant. That I mean, how often do I go to this restaurant? Like once every 7 years or something. And they want your email, and you're like, this is the inconvenience of convenience. I could just tell this guy like, look, dude, I want a large beer, the sausage rolls, and whatever. But all this farting around and da, 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 da. And then we went to another place with my wife on Thursday. We took that Replacement Dad guy and his wife. It was their was it their 57th wedding anniversary or something. And we took them to Yokohama. And we went to this I gotta start putting colors on these guys. Um, we went to. I'm gonna make a bit of an olivey drab color here. We went to this all you can eat buffet, and it was the same thing. It was like it's an all you can eat buffet, but not really because you got to use your cell phone to order specific things off of the menu, which I guess makes sense. I mean, they don't want they're not going to put out whatever 46 bucks worth of blue cheese if nobody's going to eat it kind of thing. Yeah, we don't have to tip, which is great. Yeah, there's no tipping in Japan. It's like totally forbidden for some reason. I mean, you can. I mean, if somebody like works on your house or something, like a guy comes over and he like rebuilds your deck, which I got to do this year, or they paint your house or whatever, and there's like, oh, the bill is X. You can round it up, but usually it's not in cash. What you'll do is you'll be like, oh, thank you very much for painting my house, and oh, here's a case of beer and like a fruit basket for your wife or whatever. That's how they do it, which is kind of cool because when you go to somebody's house, the custom is that you never go empty-handed. You always got to bring something, whether it's a bottle of wine or a box of cookies or whatever it is, which is kind of a cool little custom. Um, so, but yeah, there's no tipping. Same with the taxis and stuff like that. There's no tipping at all. But yeah, you got everything's now. It's all you got to pay with your phone all the time. And I'm such a Luddite. I still have a flip phone. I do have a smartphone. Um, but I like talk to like four different people on that phone. Like my wife, my friend in Greece, my friend in town here, and I think my other phone. Like I send messages. Like if I get something that I gotta take care of or I need to, download or whatever, I'll send it to the other phone. Yeah. All right. Oh shit. Okay. I better start putting some color. I'm gonna do some. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I'll just make these guys. I'll do the base color on these guys here, and then I'll just use it the same on these guys here. But yeah. So I'm just gonna, like I said earlier, with these hoplites because I've got a million of them to paint. I'm just gonna paint this guy and that guy the same. I'll make sure I'm in the thing here. I'm sorry for the amateur hour productions here. So I'm just going to paint them basically the same, but when I lay them out in a unit, I'll sort of disperse them so they'll look more randomized or whatever. But I'm just being lazy. I'm doing kind of like an olive or khaki drab base on this guy's tunic here, and then I'll make it more of a vibrant green as I go along. But and then I'm going to do the Belgian dudes too here. But yeah, but yeah, it's just strange, You get old so fast and you don't realize it. And you're like, what the fuck happened, dude? Like, seriously, just it seems like just yesterday you're out partying and meeting girls and getting in all kinds of trouble and going out all night and doing fun stuff, and then the next thing you know, it's you're waking up every day at like 5:30 in the morning to feed the cat. And you're outside, you know, getting the garbage ready and doing dad adult stuff. It's not fun anymore. You can't eat certain foods after 9 o'clock or you'll die. From gas and indigestion and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have that kind of experience? Yeah, my memory's pretty shit at work too. I have to write out on Fridays what I'm doing the next week, and like, okay, Monday, this time to this time into this. I know I have his calendar and all that stuff, but I got to write it out, photocopy it, bring a copy, and bring it home and put it on the fridge, or I will totally forget. I'll just forget shit. I'm like, oh fuck, that's today. Oh, I had to go to the driver's license center today. That kind of stuff. So I find that it helps, but you know, it's a struggle. Yeah. That's right. When you're living fast, it goes quick. It goes quick. And when you're bored too, man, time drags on. And as soon as you're out of that situation where it's boring, it just flies by at literally light speed. You'll be at work staring at the clock, wondering to yourself like how many hours of Tetris am I going to have to play today to just get through today? Because you're not doing anything. There's nothing to do. You know, especially this past week, it's like there are no classes. I can't. All any stuff I had to do, have to get ready for my research or whatever, is finished. I have to wait for, a new crop of students to start, this data set of my research. So you're just sitting there and you're just like, I mean, okay, watching hockey highlights and, watching videos on YouTube and stuff. And then you just get frustrated because you'd rather be doing it at home. I would rather be watching YouTube at home, painting, rather than, watching people on YouTube at work. And then I'm like, kind of like, oh, I wish I was painting. I wish I was painting. And then, I want to go paint, but you can't. And as you get really upset about it, not really upset, you get mildly displeased. And then when you turn on the computer, you get your paints out, you get yourself a drink or whatever, make something to eat maybe. And then boom, you're like, fuck, it's time to go to bed. you know? So it's like, oh man, what's going on? But yeah, it sucks for sure. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, my knees are not that bad. That is terrible. I mean, actually, I was helping my buddy who just moved back here the other day. We were putting in his washing machine, and we were, rolling around and moving this 200-pound thing around. And he was, he's down there, and he's only a couple of years older than me. And I was like, wow, we're both grunting like, we got those old man noises that, when you sit down or when you try to get out of your car and you've had too much to eat, you're like, you're grunting and huffing and puffing all the time. So am I in frame? I don't even think you can see what I'm doing. Sorry, I get so carried away painting here. So I'm just putting this khaki drab color I made out of like a 50-50 mix of avocado and what is this? Dark chocolate. So I just 50-50 mix. That's going to be the base color for these guys. And then I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to highlight it with just not the avocado. I got this other color, which is like this like, what's it called? Timberline green. It looks like basically like heavily infectious snot, bacterial snot. It's like this really horrible green color, baby poop green, I guess you'd call it. And then that'll be the sort of base color, and then I'll highlight it with the avocado, and then I'll give everything a nice brown wash, and then I will just go over and do the highlight again on top of that. So I'm doing this, I'm painting these guys like Josh's stuff, and if you guys haven't now, I don't know if see you later, Mark. Have a good one, buddy. Yeah, I'll keep painting. You keep making those World War One planes and stuff, man. So if you don't know Josh has got two channels. One is Crown of Command. I think it's the Crown of Command. It's Crown of Command for sure. There might be a the at the beginning, but that's his mostly his Games Workshop commission stuff, where or Old Hammer kind of stuff, and his painting. I saw some of his stuff that he did for a Talisman game at the Games Day we had last week in Tokyo, and it was awesome. A great non-metallic metal dwarf guy. I was like, wow, that's really good. Like, I mean, I think I've tried to do it on armor like once, like 10 years ago or something, and it was like, I needed practice. Let's just put it that way. But I never did it again. The only kind of non-metal I do is maybe like on belt buckles, like on these guys, or on the rifles. I won't use metallic paint for the rifles. I'll do it as black, and I'll just bring it up a little bit. And then with like buttons and stuff like that, I'll just do them white. Buckles I'll do like white to make it, instead of silver or metallic. Yeah, so he's got that channel, and then he's got the one that he's using here. Okay, yeah, so you listen to him, so you know who I'm talking about. But he's also got Swords and Sake, which is his more, historical stuff and the stuff that he does for himself. So, good on you for being commissioned. Josh, actually, how long have you been doing? Like, how long have you been like a commission painter? Because I mean, I do commissions like sometimes, like not very often. You know, like I'm always painting something for somebody somewhere. You know, but it's not like a business. You know, it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna give me a couple $100 at the end of the month, or next month I'll pick up a couple, you know, some money or whatever. When I was in Canada, when I was younger, in like the late '90s, I was doing commission work for the Old Glory of all companies. They had started a magazine. It was called Le Gloire, and it was made by this Canadian guy. What was his name? John Jennings, king of the businessmen. And boy, oh boy, what a shit show. And we weren't getting paid that much money, but it was just like pumping out, you know, whatever, like 12,000 Mongol archers or whatever. I mean, it was just that kind of stuff. It was pretty, you know, soul crushing. And you had to work with him, and he was a nerd, but you know, you're like, okay, let's listen to some music. It was me and another guy, my buddy Tom. You know, and you're like, okay, well, you know, let's listen to this Judas Priest album or whatever. And this guy, he's like, I'm the boss, blah blah blah. And we had to listen to this horrible, like these like Civil War, you know, war reenactor, you know, British, whatever, like any historical reenactment music or whatever. And it was fucking terrible, dude. You know, peas, 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 eating goober peas, eating goober peas. And you're just like, holy fuck, like how many times are we going to listen to this horrible fucking song, you know? And anyway, I did that for a while. I painted some of their fantasy orcs, which were okay. I mean, they were really cheap, but the sculpts were shit. You know, am I even in frame? You just look at it like knuckles. Um, yeah, so the magazines, I still have the magazine. You can still buy the magazines on their website. If you go on the Old Glory website, they sell magazines. It's called Le Gloire, and they'll probably charge you probably about $7-8 US for per copy. And they're old. They're 30 years old. They've got stacks of them, and the magazine never went anywhere. He was trying to make it what War Games Illustrated is now, but he just wanted it to be Old Glory figures. Now the problem with that is that Old Glory figures are not that good, but you couldn't tell him that because he had got the guy who ran Old Glory. What was his name? Russ. He somehow or another he duped this guy into, you know, greenlighting the project or whatever. But I hated. I just commission painting is. I hated it. I hated it. And my buddy did it, Tom, and he was a really good painter, and he did it mostly 40K stuff like orcs and stuff, and 40K orcs. And he built a Stompa before, and I mean, we're talking like second, third edition 40K era, and yeah, it was. He hated it too, you know, because you know, the guy's paying you, he's the customer, and then it's like, you know, and they're like nitpicking like some of the smallest shit. And it's like, dude, you're only paying me like $6 a guy. Like, you know, you paid like $7 for this figure, and you're only paying me a lump of plastic, and you're only paying me, you know, like not even that much to paint it. So I don't know. So Josh, I don't know if you're still there. Maybe you went to go get some meat. I was wondering if you're liking it or not. Two old, fully painted old Hammer armies. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Wood Elf army it would be great. I have a huge fucking Chaos army, dude. Massive. There's a video of it on my channel somewhere. Nobody watches my Games Workshop stuff. It's like a dead, you know, it's like McDonald's pizza from the '90s or whatever. Nobody gives a shit about it. But I have a massive Chaos army. My Chaos army is so big, I have an auxiliary Chaos halfling contingent of like 2,500 points. It's just halfling models that I made evil with spare bits from all my Chaos stuff. And I have a dwarf army. I have a pretty big dwarf army, and that I haven't seen in ages. I don't know where it is. It's in a box someplace. And I also have an Empire army, but the Empire army I haven't really finished it yet, and I honestly don't think I ever will. I mean, I love the miniatures and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. But the Wood Elves, yeah, I always thought they were kind of cool. I always liked playing against them at tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, the old tree men. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, when Lord of the Rings came out, and it was like yeah, early 2000s, in this place in Tokyo called Shinjuku. This is when Games Workshop was. There was the Games Workshop in Jimbocho, which is kind of down by like downtown kind of place. But anyways, I found the shop near where I worked. It was selling GW stuff in the basement. I was like, oh no way, I haven't painted in a while, so I got some miniatures, and I really got into it. But yeah, I started buying all the Lord of the Rings halfling stuff, and I was just making them evil. And it was just like, oh, okay, I'll take this guy's head off, I'll put this helmet on there, give him a super oversized shield, make them all evil. Okay, so you've been doing it for full time. Yeah, that's good. How do you, like just like how's your like just painting in general though? Like I mean, do like do you like have to stop yourself after 2 hours and get up and like walk around for 20 minutes or something, or just stretch or whatever? Because you know, I mean, I've done stuff where I've challenged myself to like paint. We'll say like I'm going to paint these 10 guys and get them all fully done today, from start to finish. I'm going to clean them and, whatever. And it took, from the box to completely finished will take like, 7 or 8 hours. And at the end of it, I'm dying, just because I'm sitting still, my back's killing me. So I'm just wondering, what do you do, to sort of alleviate that problem, getting a good chair helps. I think that's one thing. I have a new chair that I'm painting with, which is good. So yeah, I don't know. It's I'll move this guy. Just one of them things, I suppose. You know. But yeah, painting. I don't know. I'm compelled to do it. Like it's just so weird. It's like people talk about gaming and stuff, and gaming's okay, but I cannot stop painting. Like it's just I have to do it. It's just so I don't know why. I don't know. Like seriously, why? Like why am I like this? I have no idea, but it's just like I'm absolutely compelled to do it, and I just do it all the time. Like I'll wake up super early, make coffee, and then I'll come and sit in my room and I'll paint for an hour before I even eat breakfast. I'll come home from work, I'm painting. I'll skip out of work sometimes and come home and paint, and watch YouTube or watch hockey highlights, or I'll find a TV show or whatever. If I'm binge watching something, I'm like, oh, I can sneak an episode in, and then I'll start watch. And I don't even watch anything because that's the thing. I don't watch the TV show like the Lord of the Rings, the films. I've probably heard them 100 times, seen them for sure. I know I've seen them at least once, like in the movie theater. But I'll like put them on, and I'm just listening to it at that point. You know. So I'm way back here. Um, so yeah, I'm just wondering how you love it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're still doing that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking teaching jobs. I've had some. I'm sure you have too, dude. I've had some real nightmare English teaching jobs over the years. The one I have now is actually really good because they kind of just leave me alone mostly, but they do try and rope you into like just Japanese nonsense, and that is the one thing. It's just they're always like, oh well, we're gonna have a meeting at 7 o'clock on a Friday. You're like, what the fuck? Why? Oh, it's so Dare Dare Sensei can come to the meeting. And then you have the meeting, and the guy comes, and he's there or whatever, and then they get, you're 5 minutes in the meeting, and they're telling you like, oh yeah, all the documents we sent you earlier this afternoon about this meeting, they're all redundant. They've all been superseded, so we really don't know what's happening yet. And you're like, why didn't you just fucking cancel it? Well, because we booked the room in the school, and you're like, yeah, but it's our school. It's not that we're paying for. It's just whatever. It's Japanese social time. It's a real. If you live here long enough, it's a great place. But then after a while, it becomes like metal on metal, and you really start to notice that we're both computers of sorts. Like this is an analogy, I guess. We're both computers, but one of us, one culture is Mac, and the other one is PC. Now I really dated myself with that reference, but that's basically it. Like you're trying to do the same things or whatever, but it's just your way of doing it is just completely opposite. So and it gets really frustrating over time. And just small things. I'm sure. You know, yeah. Well, I'm using this crappy iPad I've had for like 8 years or something, which is about to give up the ghost, and I'm using my $20 laptop that I got when they changed the laptops over at work. Let me grab a drink here. When they changed the laptops over at work a couple years ago, they were just like basically to throw the computers out, and then they were like, "Oh, look, you can buy this computer; it's 10,000 yen." You're like, "Okay, I'll wait." Oh, now then they were 5,000 yen, and I go, "Okay," and then the price just kept going down. It got down to 2,000 yen. I'm like, "Okay," so I bought like two of them. And I've been rocking the $20 laptops for the last 7 or 8 years because I'm cheap, dude. I'm trying as hard as I can to retire in like 4 years, and it is. And then the good news is that I'm so used to being poor that you know by proactively living that lifestyle, I've amassed a house and cars, and I got money and whatever. I'm saving money and all this stuff, investing money. That yeah, it's a possibility that I could be retired in the next couple of years, which would be great because I fucking hate work. Sorry. Yeah. You're okay. So you're about the same age as me. Okay, I just turned 51 like a couple weeks ago, like about a month ago actually. And that's horrible. I'm standing there drinking a coffee out of my the lordy lordy look who's 40 happy birthday coffee cup I got 10, 11 years ago, and you're like, oh, I wish I was 40. And I remember getting that coffee cup and being pissed off. you know. Mm. Okay. Yeah, getting exercise is important, dude. I go to the gym probably about 15. I try to go 18 times a month, but I definitely go 15 times a month. And just whatever, just easy stuff, like even just the treadmill, like going for a walk and walking 5 kilometers or whatever on the treadmill in like an hour, or just doing simple weight training and stuff like that. Just to you know uh, stretch the joints and stuff has really really helped out a lot. Because I'm a big dude. I was in really good shape when I was in my early 30s. I was, I could do pull ups, all that shit. One arm push ups and stuff like that. And then we moved back here, and then I was just teaching, like elementary school and stuff. So, and then I got lazy, and then I just started drinking all the time, and then eating late at night, and then I put the weight back on, and now I'm kind of just trying to lose it or whatever. So, yeah, it's an upward struggle. That's all I can really say. But okay, I think guys, it's been an hour and a half, and I just got the low battery. I'm at 9%, so I'm gonna have to cut this off. So, Mark, Mike, Josh, anybody else that might have been watching or whatever, thanks for checking it out. I'm gonna hope that this stays up here. Where's my thumbs up? This time, and it doesn't get taken down like last time. All right, guys. Adios, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good weekend, everybody. Go Leafs, go. Old man tries to figure out what he's doing. Oh, there it is.